6, Lesson 7-3, Understanding Proportions. Proportions are two ratios that are equal. Cross products is the multiplication of the numerator of each ratio by the denominator of the other ratio. I will show you what that means a little later in this lesson. You can use fractions written in simplest form to show that two ratios form a proportion. So if I give you the fraction 4/10 and 6/15, you can take 4/10 and reduce it to lowest terms. So 4/10, if I divide that by 2, 4/10 reduces to 2/5. 6/15, if I divide 6 and 15 by 3, this becomes 2/5. So since each of the fractions reduces to 2/5, yes, 4/10 and 6/15 form a proportion. Let's take 9/10 and 19/20. 9/10 and 19/20. Well, 9/10 is reduced to lowest term, and 19/20 is also reduced to lowest terms. And if I look at this, if I was to compare 9/10 and 19/20, if I multiply 10 times 2, I would get 20. But if I multiply 9 times 2, I do not get 18. I mean, not get 19, I get 18. 18 does not equal 19. Therefore, 9/10 and 19/20 do not form a proportion. Because 9 times 2 is 18, not 19, and the 19 makes it so that it's not a proportion. How about 54/9 and 36/6? 54/9 and 36/6. Well, let's see. The common denominator out of 54/9 is 9. 9 divides into 54 6 times. 9 divides into 9 1 time. Greatest common factor out of 36/6 is 6. 36 divided by 6 is 6. 36 divided by 6 is 1. 6 over 1 is equal to 6 over 1. So 54/9 and 36/6 do form a proportion. Now, there's another way to determine whether or not something forms a proportion, and that is using something called cross products. There's a special relationship in equivalent ratios that form a proportion. The cross products of a proportion are always equal. Essentially, the cross products are exactly what they sound like. They make a cross. That means the numerator of one fraction multiplied by the denominator of the other fraction has to be equal to the numerator of the second fraction multiplied by the denominator of the first fraction. In other words, in this particular example, 2 times 6 equals 4 times 3. 2 times 6 is 12, 4 times 3 is 12. Algebraically, it just means that A times D has to equal C times B, provided that B and D are not 0, because division by 0 is undefined. So how do we use this? Well, you can use cross products to test whether or not a ratio is a proportion, and if two ratios are equivalent and make a proportion. If the cross products of the ratios are equal, they are a proportion. If the cross products are not equal, then they are not a proportion. So let's try looking at some cross products. In one class, 2 out of 16 students' favorite subject is math. Oh, that's rather sad, only 2 out of 16. In another class, 4 out of 12 students' favorite subject is math. Are these ratios equivalent? We want to know if these are equivalent. So we literally need to figure out the cross products. So, is 2 times 12 equivalent to 4 times 16? So 2 times 12, is that equal to 4 times 16? 2 times 12 is 24. 4 times 16 is 64. Those are not equivalent, so no, these ratios are not equal. Now I'm hoping, before you even did the multiplication, you looked at this problem and said, wait a second, 2 is smaller than 4, 12 is smaller than 16. There's no possible way when I multiply 2 times 12, it is going to be equal to 4 times 16. Just in case you didn't pick up on that, we did the actual multiplication, and we found that that was true. When I multiply two numbers that are smaller together and two numbers that are bigger together, the two numbers that are bigger multiplied together should give me a bigger product. Let's take a look at another one. Now this one, hard to tell when you first look at it. Is 38 over 52 equivalent to 57 over 80? So let's find out. 38 over 52, is that equal to 57 over 80? So let's figure out what our cross products would be. Our cross products would be 38 times 80 is one cross product. 57 times 52 is the other cross product. So I need to know, does 38 times 80, is that equal to 52 times 57? Alright, so let's do the multiplication. 38 times 80. 8 times 8 is 64. 8 times 3 is 24. Plus 6 is 30. So this becomes 3040. 57 times 52. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 5 is 10. Plus 1 is 11. 5 times 7 is 35. 5 times 5 is 25. Plus 3 is 28. 2,964. 2,964 is not equivalent to 3,040, so no, these ratios are not proportional. Cross products can make it very, very simple to determine whether or not ratios form a proportion, especially if you're not good at reducing fractions to lowest terms. If you're good at multiplication, this is a very fast way of determining whether or not two ratios form a proportion.